Hey everyone, welcome back! Today we're looking at a different way to use Atlas. Instead of punching everything to death, we throw rocks at everything to death. Yes, this is a rumbled build, not a rumbler or Titanic rumbler. I tried those and couldn't make it work. The Rumbled augment. Rumbled is the last pre-rework Exalted and thus has rather unusual mechanics. This video is an extension of testing and discovery from JelMei's original video on Atlas Rumbled mechanics nearly 2 years ago. While not the first, it was the last time high-profile testing was done to push Rumbled further as a viable playstyle for Atlas. I've included their video in the description for your browsing. Today we have even more workarounds and new discoveries to limitations found by JelMei. Rumbled is an Atlas augment that changes his 4th ability into body armor that lets you ground slam and throw rocks. You cannot jump or perform any parkour maneuvers in general, except running and sprinting. He can aim glide, and this can be combined with void sling if needed to move to a higher elevation. The ground slam sucks as it has 100% fall off, whereas the boulder throw is actually useful. It has 0% crit chance, 2x crit multiplier, and 12.5% status. An actual crit build is useless, because the only way to boost crit on Rumbled is with the Darza's Cat's Eye or Arcane Avenger. We cannot bring a Kavat today, and Rumbled armor blocks all damage, including self-damage through combat discipline. The yellow numbers you see are actually caused by stealth multiplier bonuses and are unaffected by crit stats. The base damage on the boulders are just barely usable and have 0% fall off in their 3-meter blast radius. In the past, we had to take advantage of the 8x stealth damage multiplier to boost damage high enough for Steel Path. We also used to use the Saxum set. Zada's Whisper would be combined with stealth multipliers and Saxum to double dip their scaling. Stealth damage would be 8 squared or 64 times with Zada. Due to changes to the Saxum set, it no longer works properly with Rumbled and is not worth slotting. It has much worse uptime now than before. There was one particular issue with the original Rumbled showcase though. Stealth multipliers from invisibility. Specifically, the Stalk mod from the Uras Kubro. This mod has no limit to its duration, but has limitations to remaining active. So long as there are enemies within 24 meters of the player, the Uras Kubro will activate and maintain Stalk. Once there aren't, the cloak will expire after a certain period of time. Using weapons that are not melees or not silent will make Stalk end. As Rumbled is considered melee, well then Stalk never ends. It's not exactly how obvious this can take, but in co-op play it can be an issue when players are running around blowing up the map. Today's solution is an alternative for if you want to play Rumbled Atlas in a team, instead of just solo. It also introduces new useful tech for future builds. Enter Quiver. This is Ivara subsume, granting Noise Arrow and Cloak Arrow. No dash wire for the crit damage augment sadly, but all we need is invisibility. The Cloak Arrow is most commonly known for farming strats where you can hide your entire team from being targeted. But how do you cloak yourself permanently on a run and gun setup without access to Navigator? Cloaking your pet is out of the question because the base radius is too small and they have a habit of running off and not keeping up with the player. The solution is to cloak your Sentinel, which permanently sticks to you. Luckily, we discovered on stream a rather simple method of shooting your own Sentinel with a Cloak Arrow. No need to land crazy flick shots or camera angles. The first is what I coined the skill issue method, because we came up with this due to my lack of aim for the flicks. You simply sprint backwards and jump aim glide. Target your Sentinel and shoot it with the cloak. Now it sticks to your butt until it expires. Use a pistol zoom for this, as the higher rifle zoom makes the parallax aim a lot more difficult to hit your Sentinel. The alternative method requires less time to sit up, albeit a tad more difficult. Simply bullet jump forward horizontally, flick the camera around and shoot your Sentinel with the cloak, whichever works more easily for you. Unlike the Uras Kubro, this means you have to come out of Rumble to reset Cloak Arrow from time to time. But because Cloak Arrow does not care if you shoot your weapons, unlike Stalk, you're able to proc Arcane Fury to boost Rumbled damage even further. Combined with Power Throw still working to snapshot a final 4x multiplicative buff on Rumbled, this makes up for not using Zada's Whisper to double dip stealth multipliers. The comfy base Steel Path Rumbled setup for team play uses a Glaive to benefit from volatile quick return and Power Throw. The base radius of Rumbled's throw is only 3 meters and cannot be increased with the range stat. However, Volatile does work on it for plus 3 meters. A 6 meter AoE is huge because this is 4 times more area than the original throw. Power Throw also multiplies our final damage by 4 and can be stored by casting and finishing the rumbled animation before the Glaive returns. Power Throw will last forever until you die or throw the Glaive again, so it's easy to set up. We do not use Arca Titron because while it does grant us a 10 meter AoE, losing both the Power Throw Augment and Zada's Whisper makes it too weak to be viable. We also have an Endurance build Steel Path Rumbled setup. I would not normally recommend using this unless memeing in a team. It is significantly more technical to use and requires Magus Anomaly to group enemies up. The principle is to build around gas or electric damage because the AoE and hits from Rumbled, including the resulting AoE status effects, and your Zaw's Exodia Force will strip armor off if the stat stick melee used is a dagger and you bring Argonak with the Amalgam Metal Auger mod. This is a trait unique to the Auger mod, as Shattering Impact does not normally strip armor via dots, and only with direct hits. By using Anomaly to group enemies together and creating AoE dots via gas or electric, your damage and also your armor strip rate will scale quadratically to instantly kill even the toughest enemies after just a few seconds of throwing rocks. This is also dependent on building up Weeping Wounds to 12 times combo to boost Rumbled status chance, so Naramon would be mandatory. After all of this, let's look at our builds today. The empty slot on Atlas should be still prime sure-footed. This is because you need to be in the air to shoot your Quiver at your Sentinel properly. Atlas's built-in PSF is only active when grounded, and getting knocked down while trying to set up invisibility can get you killed, especially without any health tanking modded on. For base Steel Path, Corrosive Projection is the most damage increasing aura we could use. For Endurance, I would recommend using Steel Charge, since you're stripping all the armor off anyways. Arcane Fury only lasts 18 seconds, but can be refreshed while active already. Unfortunately, Rumbled cannot crit under any circumstances in our setup, and you need to exit Rumbled to shoot Newport to trigger Arcane Fury. Therefore, we only need roughly 175 duration, which makes our Cloak Arrow last a bit over 20 seconds. You'll always want to Re-cloak Arrow to start the rotation, meaning you will shoot Newport afterwards and then cast Rumbled. This ties your invisibility duration to match up with Arcane Fury's duration, allowing a natural rhythm. Base damage of Rumbled now scales with strength, so we want to pile on as much as we could. Rumbled is duration based, and the only other ability we cast is Quiver, so 45 efficiency is mostly harmless. Equilibrium to convert health orbs to energy. Our Sentinel also has Synth Fiber to let us pick up health orbs even at full HP. Energize to bank up energy for bad moments, and Natural Talent for faster Rumbled cast since it is rather slow. This also makes it easier for you to complete the Rumbled cast before your Glaive returns when snapshotting Power Throw. For Archon Shards today, I would strongly recommend equipping 2 blue Archon Shards for energy max, and Prime Flow is not needed since it's overkill. However, a slight cap increase helps cover for mistakes when casting Quiver and missing, since you need at least 155 energy left over to recast Rumbled. The red Archon Shards are for extra duration. They are optional, but lightly recommended to make your Cloak Arrow rotations more forgiving by increasing duration from 18.2 to 21.2 seconds. Our Santo today is Djinn because it can infinitely revive itself with Reawaken on a 90-second cooldown, otherwise Synth Fiber for synergy with Equilibrium. Also so that we can keep it on our butt and easily target it with our Cloak Arrows so that we can stay forever invisible. Extra Radar and Vacuum. For base Steel Path, I run Matarai for plus 40% strength to boost Rumble damage even further, Void Strike to kill Acolytes easily, and plus 50% casting speed to make Rumble even faster. It also lets you complete Rumble's cast animation more easily before the Glaive returns when snapshotting Power Throw. For the Mimish Endurance setup, you're reliant on Weeping Wounds on a 12 times Dagger to proc a gas or electric to strip armor with Amalgam Argonak Metal Auger and Shattering Impact. This means we will want to bring Naramon, since building up and or losing combo with a stat stick can be extremely annoying. The Glaive Prime build for base Steel Path looks like this. I did not opt for Spoiled Strike since we already have Arcane Fury, which would dilute base damage mods even further. We opted for 4 elemental mods for Corrosive Heat, perfect for bonus damage against Ferrite armor, proccing some Corrosive to strip armor temporarily on Alloy, and heat granting bonus damage against Flesh for unarmored enemies. Bane because it works on old school exalted stat sticks, and Power Throw to snapshot the final 4 times multiplicative buff. Basically, hold throw before the Glaive returns to throw it again constantly. On the 3rd throw, cast Rumbled before it returns to snapshot the buff forever until you die, or throw the Glaive again. Volatile Quick Return boosts the base 3 meter radius of rocks to 6 meters. The only other way is Titron for 10 meters AoE, but this setup would make Titron too weak due to no Power Throw or Zada. Rumbled only gets Titron's capacitor range bonus and not the capacitor damage bonus. Nucor is a random crit build. You can honestly use anything as long as it can crit. Gaze is also popular because it crits easily. Basically any beam or AoE weapon with crits works well. 2 Auger mods for minimal shield gate shenanigans. For the endurance setup, make sure you have dexterity equipped for extra melee combo duration. For the endurance setup too, bring Argonak for the metal auger augment. It allows daggers to strip armor on both dots and raw damage, unlike Shattering Impact. Rumbled inherits all traits of the melee you bring, meaning a dagger stat stick lets Rumble strip armor on hits and dots via metal auger. Amalgam Serration for faster sprint speed since Rumbled only lets you sprint, and dexterity for even more melee combo duration. The dagger chosen is a Zaw. I would recommend Bala, Pei, Varji to Jai. This is because Exodia Force can also be triggered by status effects from throwing rocks and Rumbled. Exodia Force has a 6 meter AoE and also counts as dagger damage for an extra hit to strip more armor via Amalgam Argonak, Metal Auger, and Shattering Impact. The actual dagger build itself is all about pumping up more damage. We go Bane because the gas clouds and electric chains double dip even when created by Rumble for 2.4 times more damage. Primed Pressure Point and Spoiled Strike for ever more damage. Weeping Wounds to push Rumbled from 12.5 to 67.5% status at 12x combo. Every hit you swing will proc Metal Auger Strip and Shattering Impact. If you proc to status, Exodia Force will hit and also trigger Metal Auger and Shattering Impact for an extra strip. The status ticks themselves will also proc Amalgam Metal Auger, but not Shattering Impact. We nearly triple dip armor strip procs this way, and the AoE procs have quadratic scaling damage and strip. Remember, Magus Anomaly helps a lot with this, to not just kill high level enemies, but also make building combo on a no range low attack speed dagger a lot easier. That's it, cheers! If this is your first time watching, feel free to leave a like or better yet subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. 79.5% of you are not subscribed. I'll try my best to get new information out always as soon as possible, like this before Citrine's Last Wish comes out. Stick around if you want to see interesting memes and builds on a nearly daily basis. You don't want to miss out on any of that, do you? That'll be it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and see you all next time.